I want to welcome you back to the Healthy Returns podcast. And this is part 2 of supplements, filling in the gaps for ultimate health and longevity with Drake Kellas from NutriDyn. And this is part 2 of that podcast episode. Stay tuned. We want to be able to trust the experts, right? And I think that's been the issue, is because the experts we find out later on, the experts aren't really experts. And
Right.
so this access to information, I mean, we've got podcasts that are talking about some really crazy stuff in the last 15, 20, 30 days about health and wellness, not based in science, but they present this stuff so factually that people want to believe it so desperately. And it also fits their personal narrative. And that's why they want, well, it's cheap and I can afford it, so I want to do it. And this podcast justifies me doing this, or this article justified me doing that. And so I think access to information has become really confusing for people. But that is specifically why Evolt, as a company, said, we're going to create a body scanner, but we're also going to say, based on your goal, we want you to take these supplements, because we know as a company, they can't do it by themselves. They can't do it what are the top 6 supplements you should take if you want to gain muscle? What are the top 6 supplements you should take if you want just better health? What are the top 6 supplements you should take if you want to lose body fat? And that's really why Evolt put those supplement recommendations. Now we can customize them for any company, and we do a lot of work with NutriDyn customers. It's probably the number one amount of customers we work with are NutriDyn customers. And that's why the strategic partnership is so important. But we have to keep informing our consumer where to get the right supplements and get them off of Amazon and out of the big box stores. They mean well, they just are misguided.
So I think you know this, but I worked in the ingredients side, and I want to take a second to talk about the Amazons and all these different online stores and big box, places where you can get stuff at pretty good prices, but just understand you're getting them for pretty good prices for a reason. And you mentioned it, the warehouses for especially Amazon. Amazon is there to make money. They really don't care about anything else except for making money, getting the cheapest product at the cheapest price and selling it to you to make money. They're not going and getting the warehouses in San Diego where the weather predominantly, or Southern California where the weather is very good. They're getting them in Las Vegas because it's a third of the price. They're getting warehouses in the Midwest where the prices are much cheaper. And so with that being said, you think that they're putting an air conditioned unit to make sure, maybe a swamp cooler so that their employees, that they meet the guidelines, that their employees aren't, in a sweatshop per se, but the places are hot. They're over the weekend when there's nobody working maybe, or these places are getting hot. And to your point, they're denaturing the protein, or fish oils that are getting cooked up to 100 degrees, or probiotics, even worse, which should be at a cool room temperature environment, are getting cooked, that by the time we're getting the last few capsules of a probiotic in the bottle and it says 50 billion CFUs, you're probably closer down to 5 or 1 billion CFUs, if that. So where we're getting products and where is so important. And being in the ingredient side, I would see and I worked for a large mineral company that really, really good minerals. And I would see that people would go, well, I like your mineral, but it's too expensive, so we're going to go with something else. And these are these big companies that you're seeing at Costco's, because they're trying to get their price down so they're actually making a profit. And so, if our prices increase or our minerals increase, now that profit goes from, instead of it being $4 a bottle, it's now down to $2 a bottle. They're going, sorry, you're out. We're bringing something in.
And also, they're changing the efficacy of things. Yes. Just because they say it's an efficacious dose, it isn't. Right. And so, it is if you take 3 times the recommended dose that's on the bottle. So if the bottle says it's 30 servings, that's not the dose at the efficacy that the research was done. And that's so correct. If they want to use the best ingredients so they can say they're using the best ingredients, they are also not telling people they've denatured those ingredients. And they're also not telling people that they've altered the serving size away from the efficacy of where these supplements are actually useful.
Well, and to your point, let's say you go and grab a bottle off the shelf at Costco, Nature Made, big one, right? and you grab it and you've been getting that supplement your whole entire life or your last 5 years or however long it's been, and you grab that and you're going, okay, it's the same thing. Well, to your point, now we're decreasing the supplement facts. So now it used to be 4 capsules gave you this much. Well, now we're changing the serving size. Oh, we only need 2 capsules. And there's not nearly as much as what was in there 5 years ago. Because once again, hey, if we keep that price within $5, you're going to still buy it because it looks exactly the same. But you look on the back and you have now have a capsule.
Well, don't look at the back. Even with laundry detergent, right? I love it when I do a load of laundry and I'm like, my laundry detergent smells different. And then I wear the clothes and I've got a rash. And then I go look at the old bottle and I look at the new bottle. They look identical and the ingredients have changed.
Yes. And people don't realize this. This is a very common thing with these big companies because at the end of the day, they're trying to provide a product that helps their shareholders. And, any of these, I mean, it's a reason why, now you turn on the TV and you're seeing commercials for dietary supplement companies because they're bought out by a pharmaceutical company
Yeah.
that has more money than they know what to do with.
And I think that this is why it's so important that we are white labeling supplements. So I'm going to go back to from a customer retention standpoint, if I'm a gym or a healthcare facility, customer retention standpoint, if customers reach their goals, they will stay with me. One of the ways for me to help customers reach their goals is to use supplements. Mm-hmm. But the right supplements are the only way they're going to reach their goal, not the supplements they're getting through big box or Amazon. So again, I want to white label my supplements. I want to go to a NutriDyn and I want it because that's the best way for me to monetize my program. And when I talk about programming, I talk to doctors and gym owners about this all the time. You need to create a program that helps your clients meet their goals. The program cannot just be how I train them. It cannot just be the nutritional advice my dietitian gives them if I'm in a functional medicine facility. It cannot just be the medication I'm prescribing them. But number 4, the program has to be inclusive of some kind of supplement program. I don't want them going on to Amazon. So I better have my white label supplements right there for them. And then I have to educate them on supplements. That's the best way to monetize any program you're creating.
Yeah, 100%. And the cool thing about it is it creates, when you have white label a supplement or even private label, what you're doing is you're also creating the marketing. You're essentially marketing something. People go, oh, I'm out of this. I got to go get this. They're coming back to you to get that product versus like, oh, it's vitamin C. I can go get that at, my next stop at the grocery store or whatever. And once again, another ingredient that there's many different varieties of vitamin C. And that's just one of them. And that's kind of the problem. To your point, it's like, you want to get stuff that you recommend because you're doing the research for them. If they want to go do the years of research that you've done for them, then by all means. But why not save that money in the sense of, okay, we're going to pay a little bit more on the supplements, but we're going to get supplements that actually truly work, that are going to stay in your system and really help you achieve your goals of weight loss or.
But also, you got to be the expert in the room for your client. So if you're the expert in the room, that prevents them from going to Google and Amazon and making those two things the expert in the room. So when you create a program that includes medication, if that's applicable to your business, personal training or some type of training and coaching, supplementation, and nutrition, when you create a program, it makes you the expert in the room rather than Dr. Google or supplement expert Google, which is a silo of your own narrative. And that's what people don't really understand.
Yeah. And I'm getting back to Amazon again, because there's another thing I wanted to say that I forgot is a lot of those products have been expired. And so what they do is they cut out the expiration or very close to expiration. And so they'll cut out the expiration. They'll put a white tag on there. It's a barcode. And so you would never know that they're expired, but they're getting these for significantly reduced money from the company, and then that increases their margins. So
or they're short dated. So as long as they delivered it to your house prior to expiration, who looks at their expiration date? I never do.
Right.
So as long as it's delivered to your house prior to expiration, that's legal.
Yes. And manufacturing date. We're putting manufacturing dates on products too. And that's kind of FDA's kind of changing the way that we can do things. But with that being said, we got to be like, we could go on and on about all that stuff. But to your point, white labeling it, putting your name on it, putting something, your logo, your website, whatever it is, bringing it back.
That means I stand behind what I'm asking you to take because I know you're going to hit your goals.
I mean, Suzanne Summers showed us like when she had, she wrote a book on hormones. She had that machine thing.
The Thigh Master.
Thigh Master. There you go.
I'm 51 years old. I'll be 52 next month. I grew up with the Thigh Master.
Thigh Master, right? But people were like, oh, well, I want to look like Suzanne Summers. And there you go. And, your trainers, people are trusting them. They're trusting because they want to look like you. They want to, when we talk about anti-aging, which I hate that term, I'd rather use it as age management. There's a big difference between somebody who's 50 years old, like yourself, or somebody who's been drinking and drug addiction and eating junk and stuff and is, 400 pounds at 51 years old, going, okay, these two are not the same. So
no.
How can I be along that track? And I mean, you've shown that the way you're managing your age is the proper way to manage it. And, there's people go, okay, Sharon, I want to look like you. How do I do that? And if they're buying stuff on Amazon, they're not going to look like you. It's like,
no, they're definitely not. And I actually tell people that, and I think that's probably one of the most important messages that we say to people is that we are our billboards for our businesses. So if your trainers in your gym think that all supplements are created equal and they say to their client, oh, you don't need to take our white label supplement, just go on to Amazon and take something cheaper, because they are worried about their client not being able to afford them moving forward, then that's maybe not the right trainer to work for you. And that comes down to education. I don't think any trainer actually believes that. I think trainers are uneducated in that. And so that's actually a conversation I have with gyms. And even if my front desk at my healthcare facility, if they say to people, hey, you don't need to take these supplements, you could just get it on Amazon for cheaper, then they need better training as to why that's actually not okay. And because they aren't created equal. And a lot of people don't get that.
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, when we go to, like, here's a good example. We go and shop for a car. There's a big difference between a Mercedes or a luxury car versus a lower end car. I mean, if you look at his, I think the cheapest car they said was like a Kia. I forget exactly what. Now, Kia's come a long way. Don't get me wrong. They're like way better than they were in the, and we don't necessarily have that one car where like, we'll peg that car. But there's a big difference between the way that car is created to the way that, luxury car, a BMW, a Mercedes has been created. And so when we're like talking about, oh, well, we got a car. Okay, I understand you have a car. And yes, you could get that job done potentially, or maybe whatever. But if you're going to spend the money and you're going to get something, don't you want something that if you get hit by a big truck, that you're going to actually survive and not die because it's or
your family's going to survive. Exactly.
And that's exactly when we're taking these supplements, the longevity, that they actually stay in your system, that they're actually working in your system, that when you're taking a mega fish oil that
and you're not wasting your money.
Correct. And we actually know that product, that ingredient, that supplement is actually staying in your body. And we have this test study, we can actually do testing on these things now to make sure that it's working.
Well, I'll tell you a funny story. I had a client come to me. She was a weight loss client. I trained her many, many years ago. She came back to me last week. And I put her on an eVolt scan, and her total body water was super, super, super high. And I was like, this isn't body fat. This is water that you're holding. She was holding about 10 pounds of extra water. She's 5 feet tall. And I asked her what supplements she was taking. She gave me a list of her supplements. I said, do me a favor. For 1 week, I want you to stop taking all of your supplements. Had her stop taking, and she was getting everything, every Instagram ad for anti-aging, every Instagram ad for menopause, every Instagram. She bought every single supplement. She was probably paying over $500 a month in supplements. I took her off all of them. That total body water dropped 10 pounds in 5 days just from taking her off. That's all. The only change I made was take her off the supplements. And then I started adding back in very specific supplements like we spoke about earlier. She has not gained back that 10 pounds.
Wow.
And it's the only change I made. So again, it matters what we're taking. It matters for our health that we aren't getting stuff on Instagram and Amazon and Facebook ads, that we really work with somebody we trust to have them give us, or don't take anything at all until you figure that piece of it out.
I'm gonna say something because you hit something that kind of like strikes at my core is these Instagram ads, the influencers, right? This influencer tells you take this. I worked with an influencer. We had their product. We made it really, really good. You know, we had a good price. The margins were good. We gave them an incredible deal, et cetera. This is many years ago. And so when we're getting ready to order, reorder and get their, make sure that all their inventory is good to go, they decide to switch out. Guess what happened after that? The reviews of that product were just, this doesn't taste the same. I'm not getting the same results. I feel bloated. I feel this. I feel that. And now that influencer no longer sells anything because they decided to go cheaper, sell the same price, and the product wasn't cheaper and better. And they would, as quick as those were coming in there trying to delete them, they couldn't do it quick enough. And it became this whole thing. It blew up their business. So with these influencers, sometimes they're getting the wrong people that are involved with them that are trying to tell them, oh, we need to save money. We can make more money. We can do this. And then they cheapen the product. So,
yeah, I agree. And so, okay. So this is my last question. It's a really good one. So if you had any advice surrounding supplements for our healthcare practitioners, our entrepreneurs, might be influencers, our gym owners surrounding supplements, what would it be?
In this day and age, white label. I would say go white label your product, put your logo on it, make what we've done we've already done all the research, we've already done all the science, we've already done all the synergy testing to make sure these ingredients work. Make it easy on yourself. Use a company that's reputable like NutriDyn and allow us to do it for you. We'll put your logo on it. We actually do it for free, to be honest with you.
Oh my gosh, your printing department is your graphic design and printing department, unbelievable. And if you ever have a problem, like they fix it immediately. I'm in love with your team. You know that.
Well,
I work with them all the time.
The beauty of it being a family-owned company, we really believe in that white glove treatment. There's a reason that you go to Ritz-Carlton or Nordstrom's. I mean,
yeah, but you guys aren't charging the prices that a Ritz-Carlton is. So like you guys are like the discount version of white glove service.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of when you're a family-owned company, everything matters. It matters how you are treated.
Your reputation matters.
Exactly, because if the worst thing you can get is bad press where people go, they didn't take care of me, they sent me bad product, I couldn't sell it, I couldn't do this, it was terrible, blah, blah, blah. And then now we've created enemies, and that's not how we want to do business. We want to truly make sure that you are successful, that you are getting taken care of, and anything in our control, we're going to do that. And it's refreshing to work with guys that's their belief, because I've seen it when it's the other way around. It's like, well, sorry, you bought that 5 days ago. We can't give you any refunds. You're stuck with that product. And
yeah, I agree. I totally agree. Drake, I want to thank you for joining us for the Healthy Returns podcast. And you and I will connect soon, but thank you for coming on board with us today.
Thank you for having me. I really enjoy it. This is such a passion of mine, and appreciate you sharing. You keep that passion going. So thank you so much.
Amazing. Have a great day.
You too.
I want to thank you for tuning in to the Healthy Returns podcast. That was Drake Keller from NutriDyn. And if you liked today's episode, if you could like and subscribe, we'd really appreciate that. It helps us reach a larger audience and entrepreneurs and business owners just like you. Thank you so much. I'm your host, Sharon Polsky. Until next time, stay safe. The eVault podcast is for informational and educational purposes only. The content shared here represents the views and opinions of the host and guests and should not be considered medical, health, or professional advice. This podcast is not a substitute for individualized care from a qualified provider. Please consult with your provider before making decisions that may affect your health and wellness. Any statements about treatments, health protocols, or medications discussed are based on personal experience or professional expertise and may not be suitable for everyone. Always seek personalized advice from a licensed professional who understands your specific needs.